Okay, in this section 1-6, we're talking about the midpoint formula. And so the midpoint formula is a formula that you can utilize if you have the endpoints, the coordinates of the endpoints. You can plug them into the midpoint formula and it will give you the coordinates of the midpoint. And so here's the midpoint formula. If you have 2 points that are given to you, then you take the x coordinates of each point, add them together, divide by 2. That's the x coordinate of the midpoint. You take the y coordinates, add those together, divide by 2, and then that is your y coordinate of the midpoint. So you can tell where the coordinates are of the midpoint on the graph by utilizing this formula. All right, so the type of problems we're going to be looking at are ones where they ask you to find the midpoint. Okay, so these are my 2 points, and we want to be able to find the midpoint. And so for this one, we'll go ahead and utilize the formula. And here's how it works. You want to take the x numbers and add them together and divide by 2. That's your x coordinate of the midpoint. So remember, in an ordered pair, the x's come first, the y's come second. Hopefully you remember that from algebra. And so I need to take my x coordinates and I need to add them together, or put them together, I should say. So I need to just take these 2 coordinates, and you can put them together exactly the way they are. So like, for example, in this one, I'll go x minus 8. So put them together exactly the way they are with the sign and everything, divided by 2. And so x minus 8 leaves me with negative 6. And when I divide that by 2, negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. So what that means is negative 3 is the x coordinate of my midpoint. Okay? So again, with this formula, you just take the x's, put them together, divide by 2, and then take the y's and put them together and divide by 2. And let me show you why all you got to do is put them together, because like in the formula itself would be x sub 1 would be 2, x sub 2 would be negative 8, so it would be like 2 plus negative 8. Well, remember, okay, you don't need 2 signs in front of the number. You need to simplify that down to 1. Positive and a negative make a negative, so it's really just 2 minus 8. So that's why I say if you just take them and put them together exactly the way they are with the sign and everything, then you'll be able to combine it together and get the right answer. So again, what did we do? Take 2 and minus 8, put them together. 2 minus 8, negative 6. Negative 6 divided by 2 is negative 3. Negative 3 is the x coordinate of the midpoint. And we'll graph this here in just a minute and you'll see why. All right, next thing that we're going to be going through is we need the y coordinate. So take the y's, put them together, and divide by 2. All right, so my y coordinates are 6 and 12, so we'll go 6 plus 12, because they're both positive here, divided by 2. 6 plus 12, that gives me 18. 18 divided by 2, and then that will give me 9. So what that means is 9 is my y coordinate of the midpoint. Okay, so negative 3 comma 9 is the midpoint between these 2 points. And if we make a rough sketch on the graph, we can kind of see that this is indeed the right midpoint. So if I draw a graph here, x and y axis, then I can put 2, 6 on here. So here's 2, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, right there. There's 2, 6. And the other point, negative 8, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. And then up by 12, there's 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12 up there somewhere. All right. So there's my segment. And the midpoint we calculated to be negative 3, 9. So negative 3 is over 3 and up 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 right here. And so we can see indeed that is the middle of the segment, the midpoint. Okay? A couple more practice problems we want to look at here. So the next one, I want to find the midpoint between these 2 points. So again, you're going to take the x values, put them together, divide by 2, and the y values, put them together, divide by 2. So what are my x's? My x's are negative 4 and negative 2. So I'm just going to do negative 4 minus 2 divided by 2. So negative 4 minus 2, that's going to leave me with negative 6. And when I divide that by 2, we get negative 3. And so negative 3 is the x value of the midpoint. Now we'll do the y value. I need to take the y numbers and put those together. So 10 and 4, I'll go 10 minus 4. over 2. Don't forget to divide it by 2. 10 minus 4, that leaves me with 6. And 6 divided by 2 makes 3. So 3 is the y-coordinate of the midpoint. So my midpoint is negative 3 comma 3. That's the point. That's the midpoint between these two. All right? So again, it's just as simple as taking the x's, put them together, divide by 2. Take the y's, put them together, divide by 2. And then you have your 2 coordinates for your midpoint. All right? All right, now, here are the directions for the type of problems that we're going to be looking at here. And the directions say that B is the midpoint of AC, and we want to find the missing point. All right, so let's draw this off to the side so that we make sure that we get an idea of what we're dealing with here. So B is the midpoint of AC. So if we were to sketch that off to the side, AC is my segment, and B is the midpoint of that segment. So that's kind of the scenario that we're looking at here, if you can kind of visualize that. All right, so the 2 points that they give me are A and C. Okay? So if they give me A and C, what's the missing point? Well, the missing point is B. Well, B is the midpoint of AC. So all I need to do is I need to take these 2 points, put them into the midpoint formula, and then that would give me the answer for the coordinates for B. All right, so let's do it. So again, I want to plug in my x's, add those together, divide by 2. So that's 2 minus 4 divided by 2. Those are my x coordinates. So 2 minus 4, negative 2. Negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. So what that means is the x coordinate for B is negative 1. So I've got half of it. All right, let's do the other half. The next thing I need to do is take my y's, put them together, divide by 2. So that's negative 8 plus 6. Make sure you're keeping the same sign in front of them. Divide that by 2. Well, negative 8 plus 6, that's negative 2, divided by 2. And so negative 2 divided by 2 is negative 1. And so negative 1 comma negative 1, those are the coordinates of B, the midpoint. Now, I know I'm going through these calculations pretty quickly, and so if you're having trouble with that, then make sure you double check it with a calculator, to make sure that you remember, negative divided by positive is a negative, and all those kind of things for rules for adding and subtracting and multiplying and dividing signed numbers. But if you need to double check it on a calculator, by all means, all of you have a calculator on your phone, and so you can just double check it and make sure, all right? Now, next problem. Again, I need to find the missing point. They've given me A and C again, so B is the missing point again. I need to find B. So since A and C are the midpoints, in order to find the midpoint, I plug back into the midpoint formula. Take the x's, add them together. 4 plus 4 over 2. So 4 plus 4 gives me 8, and 8 divided by 2 gives me 4. So 4 is the x-coordinate of the answer. Now I need to take the y's and put them together. Negative 6 minus 3. Remember, you're going to put them together exactly how they are. So negative 6 minus 3 divided by 2. Negative 6 minus 3 is negative 9. Remember, one way to think about adding and subtracting signed numbers is think about it in terms of money. Positive money you owe, negative money you have. If I owe you $6 and I owe somebody else $3, then altogether I owe $9. Now, negative 9 divided by 2. Negative divided by positive is a negative. And now 9 divided by 2, you could leave that as a fraction if you wanted to, but typically when you're doing ordered pairs, it's better to put it as a decimal so you can get an idea of where it goes on the number line or on the graph. So 9 divided by 2 is actually 4.5. And so our y-coordinate of the midpoint is negative 4.5. So there you go. By the way, happens to be the answer to number 3 on your quiz. You might want to make a note of that. Okay. Now, there is a different type of problem, or it's not really a different type of problem. It's just a way they can change it up on you. Look at the next problem. Okay. It gives me A and it gives me B. Okay. Well, if it gives me A and B, what's the missing point? The missing point is point C. So on all the other ones, they've given me A and C, and I had to find B. But now they're giving me A and B, and I've got to find C. Now, this is going to be a little bit different of a process. And so here, I can't just plug these 2 points into the midpoint formula and get the answer. The reason why is because if I plug these in, the midpoint of AB is not C. Remember, look at the segment. B is the midpoint of AC. Well, if I plug A and B into the midpoint formula, I get the middle of A and B, which is here. That's not point C. Okay, point C is what I'm supposed to be finding. So again, I can't just take A and B and plug them into the midpoint formula because the middle of A and B is not point C. All right, so that's why that won't work. So the question is, how do we come up with the right coordinates for the answer? All right, here's what I need you to think about. Remember, they've given me point A, which is one end, right? A is one end of the segment. And they've given me point B, which is the midpoint of the segment. Okay, so I need to find point C, which is the other end. So they've given me one end and the middle, and I need to find the other end. Now, there's an easy way to do this, and then there's a difficult way, or I shouldn't say difficult, a long way of doing it. The long way would be to go back to your midpoint formula, and remember the parts that they've given you. You've got one endpoint, and you have the middle, and you're asked to find the other end. So the long way would be to take the x-coordinate of the endpoint, -2, and put it here. I could put -2 here. Take the x-coordinate of the middle, which is B, 4, and put it here. And then resolve this equation. 4 equals, let's see, what is it? 4 equals -2 plus x over 2, and solve that equation for x. So that would be a fair amount of work, but you could do it that way. But then you would have to repeat it for the y's. You'd have to put the y-coordinate of the endpoint that you have here plus y over 2 equals to this, and then solve that equation. All right, so you'd be setting up and solving 2 equations, which is a lot more work than the method that I'm about to show you. Okay. Now, if I really wanted to find the coordinates of point C, then think about it like this. All right. For the x-coordinate, it starts at -2, and then it goes to 4, which is in the middle, right? Okay, so here's the deal. From -2 to 4, okay, are you going up or are you going down? That's what you got to think about. From -2 to 4, you're going up, and you're going up by how much? You're going up by 6. You're going up by 6. Well, here's the deal. If you have to go up by 6 to get from one end to the middle, then you've got to go up another 6 to get from the middle to the other end, right? So if I have to go up by 6 to get from this end to the middle, I have to go up by another 6 to get from the middle to the other end. And so -2 plus 6 is 4, and then 4 plus another 6 is 10. So 10 is the x-coordinate of the answer. And that will save you a bunch of work because you don't have to set up and solve an equation to find that. All right? So again, however far it is to, or however long it is, or however much you have to go up to get to the middle, you got to go up that same amount to get to the other end. So from -2, you have to go up plus 6 to get to 4. So you got to go up plus another 6 to get to the other end, which is 10. And that method is much quicker and easier. All right, let's look. From 8 to 6, are we going up or down? Okay, we're going down, so that's minus. And we're going down by how much? You're going down by 2, right? So from 8 to 6 is down by 2. So if you go down by 2 to get to the middle, you got to go down by 2 to get to the other end. So what's 6 minus another 2? 4, and then there's your answer. All right? So that's by far the easiest way of doing this. Now, if you have to, and you can't really follow that method, then you could set up the equation and solve it just like we were talking about a few minutes ago. That method will work just fine. Okay? But this is much faster. Okay, so let's practice several more just so that you can get the hang of it. So once again, they've given me A and B, the end and the middle. So I can't just use the midpoint formula. I have to use this jumping method. All right, so let's look at the x's. From 5 to 1. From 5 to 1 is down by 4 because 5 minus 4 is equal to 1. So if you have to subtract 4 to get to the middle, then you need to subtract another 4 to get to the other end. 1 minus another 4 is -3. All right? And once again, for the y-coordinate now, from -2 to -6 is also subtracting another 4. So -2 minus 4 is negative 6, so I got to subtract another 4. Negative 6 minus 4 is negative 10. All right, so negative 3, negative 10 is your value for C. And if you're not sure if you've done it right, now you can plug A and C into the midpoint formula and see if it gives you B. All right, 5 minus 3 is 2. 2 divided by 2 is 1. Negative 2 minus 10 is negative 12. Negative 12 divided by 2 is negative 6. So once you have this, if you want to know if you've done it right, plug the ends into the midpoint formula and it should give you B. All right, let's try one more. So once again, C is the missing point. I'll use the same method. All right, so from negative 3 to 3, that's up by 6. Negative 3 to 3 is up by 6. So again, to get to the other end, I've got to add another 6. 3 plus 6 makes 9. 1 to negative 5 is going down. It's down by 6. So 1 minus 6 gives me negative 5, and I got to subtract another 6, which will put me at negative 11, which is the correct coordinate for point C. All right? So again, these are the methods that you will use to help you answer the questions on the quiz.